The scene is now clear and that climber has been arrested. He is known as the ProLife Spider-Man and has climbed other buildings across the country. Today, he climbed all 50 towers, all 50 stories of the DEVON Tower, the tallest building in Oklahoma City. We did capture video of him climbing it. Police say he started around 8 this morning and it took him less than 2 hours. Fire and police arrived on scene within minutes.
I was shooting videos here in the park yesterday. That's where I met him. He's like, bro, you better come here. Tomorrow something crazy is about to happen. I'm Spider-Man, and they call me like that for a reason.
Hello everybody, and I am Keaton, and this is Kid Catholic. I know that this is outside of the usual upload schedule, but we have a special episode today because we have a special guest joining us, Mason Deschamps. Thank you for being on. I haven't had like a solid interview with somebody in a while. So thank you for taking the time to respond to me when I reached out and then coming on the channel.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
So Mason, I just have a couple of questions and some stuff that like I have heard, or some questions that I've heard from some people I've talked to. Because for those who don't know, Mason is someone who climbs skyscrapers. I can't believe that's like just a normal climb skyscrapers to protest abortion. Do you want to sort of explain a little bit of what you do?
Yeah, so I think you put it exactly how it is. You know, I climb skyscrapers to protest abortion, and I try to raise money for pregnant women who need assistance, who are thinking about having abortion. I guess I work for this charity now. I partnered with them, and it's called Let Them Live, and they try to provide housing and financial support as well as counseling and job services to women who were thinking about having abortion but are willing to choose life given, I guess, new circumstances.
That's awesome, and it completely like refutes the misconception that people who are pro-life like can't stand women or anti-women with such an awesome charity like that helps them. So something that a lot of people are wondering is like, and I'm wondering myself, is how did this idea get started? Like how did you think? Because this is a very creative way to peacefully protest. It's maybe like the most creative way I've ever heard. So how did you come up with the idea and get it to where it is now?
Yeah, I definitely didn't invent it. There's this guy, his name's Alain Robert, and he started climbing skyscrapers in the 90s. There's been some other skyscraper climbers, but it's really different from what I do. I climb with only my hands and feet, so I don't use any suction cups or anything like that. I just grip the holds that are on the building. And so Alain started that. He invented the style. And in 2008, I think it was Greenpeace had actually paid him. So I don't know if it was Greenpeace that came up with the idea or Alain was advertising it, but they had paid him to protest climate change, and he hung all these banners on the New York Times. He's not all that political of a guy, but I think the amount of cash they threw at him, he was like, sure, climate change. And so I saw that, and I thought that looks awesome, and I think I could do that. And so I didn't really haven't seen many like pro-lifers doing something like this or
right.
Creative tests in this way. And I think too often pro-lifers and Christians and conservatives, we get labeled as squares. And I think like the most rebellious thing you could do is think against the grain, like how you do when you I guess tell people you're pro-life. You get a lot of backlash, a lot of hate and criticism. And so I thought like maybe climbing a building and climbing skyscrapers might change that a little bit. But usually it's like there are people who really like what I'm doing, who are pro-life, and there are some people who can see what I'm doing who are pro-choice and say, wow, that's rad, but I disagree with you.
Right.
But there are the people who are just so down the rabbit hole and so I guess in that sort of cult of pro-choice who they're just like, this guy's crazy, he's insane.
Right.
But it's funny, the more I do it, I think the less people think I'm crazy per se, and think I'm skilled. So
It is, yeah, it is impressive. So to sort of like expand on that and people's reaction to it, I want to preface this question to anybody watching by saying that neither of us are in any way encouraging you to go out and climb a building or saying that that's something that what people should be doing. But a question that does get brought up is, what do you say to people who say that oh, it's too dangerous, or that it's not worth it, or what you're fighting for isn't worth it? Like what do you say to that kind of criticism? Not just criticizing the movement, but criticizing the climbing itself. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. So honestly, when you compare the buildings I've been climbing to rock, they're pretty easy. Like never once am I I haven't had any close calls. I haven't had times where I'm scared. Like when you're on rock, your gripping holds the size of credit cards. Compared to when you're on buildings, I can fit my hands around. I mean, I have blisters all over my hand. I've never had them down here before. And the reason why I do is because the holds are so big. So for me, it feels like I'm climbing a ladder. That said, there are harder routes that Alon has climbed that are comparable to rock. But I've stayed away from those.
Right.
I stuff within my mean. And a lot of people have, I guess, a lot of pro-lifers have a problem with why are you risking your life for pro-life? Isn't that kind of
right
against it? But I don't see it that way. I feel like abortion of the Holocaust. And if we don't do something about it, then we're just sitting by. And I think we should do anything that's peaceful and within our means that we can do to try to stop it. And there's a good Bible quote I like pertaining, I guess, to the fear of falling and the fear of death. And it's Matthew. I'm trying to think of which verse it is. I can't remember the number, but it's why are you so fearful? Have you no faith? And it's yeah, of course, there's always the possibility I could slip, but I can't look at it like that. I just have to be careful and trust my skills. And so far, that's how it's been. And if something were to happen, I know where I'm going, so I'm not too scared. But that said, I'm not trying to die.
Right.
That are with it.
So we've talked about this protest being peaceful and it being an incredibly creative, peaceful protest. It doesn't harm anybody, which is phenomenal about it. But what would you say to some of the criticism that you get for the legality side? Is that a word? I don't know if that's a word. It's going to be a word now. The legality side of it, and breaking the law and some of the criticism that you get for that when it comes to that peaceful protest.
So I'm definitely walking the legal line, right? Up all the buildings, I get that. But I'm not actually breaking the law. There's nothing illegal about what I'm doing. There's no laws against climbing skyscrapers, surprisingly, right?
Okay.
And so often the police officers, they don't know what to charge me with. They're kind of I'm pretty sure this is illegal, but I'm not sure how.
Right.
So they usually book me with trespassing. Sometimes they'll yell at me 500 feet up the wall, and they want me to come down, and I continue to the top. But it's at that point you're kind of acting in your own safety to finish the top, because down climbing is a lot harder than climbing down.
That's fair.
But I'm not actually breaking the law.
Okay.
I'm with my lawyer. I manage rock. But that said, even if I was, Romans 13, I don't know if you know the background behind that, but it's written by Paul. Paul literally wrote it in jail.
Right.
And then after, headed for crimes against the state. And I think when you have something as bad as this abortion Holocaust, you skills that God gave us to do that.
Amen. So that's actually, I think that's a good thing to get out, that not a lot of people who see that know that there's not technically a law against it, which I didn't know. But maybe you could get one named after you, which would be awesome. So another question, this was just more from my own curiosity, is so initially, and correct me if I'm wrong, you did this in New York City and San Francisco. Is that right?
Yeah, so I actually, so my plan was always to climb for ProLife,
Right.
but I climbed in August. My
Okay.
grandpa got quarantined, and then I was like, I'll just ignore it. I can climb a building, but I want to do it for ProLife. Things will go back to normal. But it was starting to look like they were going to take the mandates back to Nevada, and it looked like they were going to lock things down again. So I decided to climb one for COVID. Climb the Aria here in Las Vegas. But I'm glad I did that because I learned a lot, right? And I learned how to market myself. And so I think it helped me that I did that one. And it didn't really go. But then a month ago, I went and climbed the Salesforce Tower in San Francisco, which was the first one. And crazy. I didn't look at it at all, but I climbed the day of the Roe v. Wade leak. I woke up and I had literally bought the tickets a month in advance to fly to San Francisco. And I woke up in the morning, I saw the news, the Roe v. Wade leak, and I was very surprised. But then I went to New York and I climbed the New York Times building and I hung on these banners and stuff. And I actually wasn't arrested for that. No one saw me. So they can't get me on anything, I guess,
right.
because they saw me. So that's a weird one. But then I flew to Detroit and I climbed the Renaissance Center 400 Tower, and I did that one on Mother's Day. I just flew over everybody's head, and they didn't really catch the symbolism. And so I've learned that if you want the building out, about it, you have to climb during the day when people are inside of the building, because the video of you climbing from the inside is going to go viral. It's
right.
going to get picked up. And then the new helicopter more likely to respond, and because it's the week, the news is I get more diligent, more
right.
God, during the week, more when people are inside the buildings.
So the next question, Mason, is why is the pro-life message so important to you, that you are willing to risk your life and risk your reputation and risk how people might see you in order to defend it?
Yeah, so paraphrase Louis A. that abortion popping is it or killing a baby. And we have a lot of evidence and scientific proof that it is killing a life and killing a baby. And so if that's the case, then we're looking at, like I said, an abortion holocaust, over 60 million babies by abortion. And then you look even further and you're seeing a government that's doing nothing about it and trying to cover up the laws that are already in place. You have Dr. Cesar Santangelo in Washington, D.C., that we have the babies of these late-term abortions that are clearly, there were laws broken. And the Washington Police Department only invested. They haven't even launched an investigation. And that's just absolutely ludicrous. They're trying to cover up because they have an agenda for killing babies, and anything that stands in front of that agenda, they have to get rid of. And so I think that's really horrible. But one of the things before I started that I sort of realized was a lot of people are pro-abortion because of where they're from and the people around them and the culture that they're in. And I sort of told myself, if I want to change the culture, I have to be a part of it. And so I thought using my skills to do that would be a unique way of changing the culture. And so before I started this, I took a loan for $8,000 for a camera crew to follow me around so that we can make a documentary about the summer climate. So that was my investment, And I was really worried I wasn't going to be able to pay the loan back, but I had someone finally back me, which was really cool because that was a weight off my shoulder.
Right. How can people support the donations that you have set up going to those different life organizations? And I wouldn't just say like your cause, which should be all of our cause. How can people help support and get your message, our message across?
Yeah, so for people who don't have much to know, what I do is just share my videos around and get the word out. I think that's really important because the more people who see what I'm doing is the more people who can donate and who can spread the word as well. And sort of like like to support not only the mom we've adopted through Let Them Live. Her name's Riley. We're trying to raise money for her so that we can help her and not have worse for her housing, her health care, her food. Like to help support Let Them Live and help support Riley and me as well. Go to ProLifeSpiderman.com.
Awesome. I will leave the link to that in the description down below, the ProLifeSpiderman.com, if you want to go donate to that, or as he said, just sharing his videos around to help get the word out about what he's doing. Thank you, Mason, the Pro-Life Spider-Man, for coming on. It has been awesome to have you on the channel.